What's going on, guys? Andrew Piluk Hockey here, back again with another video. Today I'm going to be talking about whether or not I believe John Klingberg would be a fit for the Toronto Maple Leafs. Is this a rumor that could be potentially something that the Leafs look at towards the NHL trade deadline? We'll have to look at all of those things. But before I get any further, I haven't been feeling too good, so if I look a little off, I'm not feeling the greatest right now, so I do apologize. But if you are new here, make sure to like this video and subscribe. Lots of Leafs news, trade talks, rumors on here. I've been posting a little bit more frequently lately, so that's going to continue, and I'm trying to add to this channel, making it look a lot better. So yeah, hopefully you guys will stick around. But John Klingberg, obviously a guy that recently has requested a trade. Now, it's kind of been dialed back a little bit, saying that while he hasn't fully requested a trade, it's been sort of the, you guys signed Miro Heiskanen and Esa Lindell and even Ryan Suter, all these deals that were done, and he didn't get a deal when he was also willing to get a contract done before the start of this new season. But as we know, he didn't get one, so he's an unrestricted free agent starting this summer. So naturally, the Dallas Stars right now are not in a playoff spot. They could still get into the playoffs. There's lots of time before the March 21st NHL trade deadline. There's a lot of time for them to get there. Now, Rory Boylan wrote a very good article here talking about a bunch of different things that I'm going to be looking at and trying to see if this fit makes sense for the Leafs and what kind of pieces they would have to give up. But sort of giving the backstory, Dallas hasn't really been living up to their potential. Klingberg is a guy that wanted a contract, didn't get one, and if they aren't going to be in a playoff position by that time, the Stars would be silly to hold on to him because they could probably get a lot in a trade. Because it doesn't look like right now that they're talking contract at all, but at the time I'm recording this, that could change completely. So the reason why I keep bringing up these unrestricted free agent guys, and we'll get to this later on in the video into a little bit more detail, is because I don't think the Leafs can afford to get anybody with term, which is pretty sad. The cap not going up because of what's going on in the world right now has screwed over lots of teams in the league, not just the Leafs. If you've recently listened to Chris Johnston on the Chris Johnston show, he was talking about how if there was no pandemic, that the salary cap would probably be in the mid $90 million range. Of course, right now it's at $81.5 million, which means that the Leafs would probably be sitting pretty much like other teams would be. They would have plenty of cap space. They'd have plenty of room to go out and sign other guys. They probably would have kept somebody like Zach Hyman. There's a bunch of different things that they could have done, but nobody could have predicted what's going on right now. So that's why I'm bringing up another unrestricted free agent. Now, what this article does bring up is something that I have also been kind of looking at, and that is the acquisition cost of a guy like Klingberg, because it could cost a lot. Before we get into acquisition costs, we kind of have to look at something that I believe his name is Jack Hahn. I don't want to be incorrect, so I'm going to go back up. Yes, Jack Hahn. He did a lot of work with the Toronto Marlies, I believe. He's great. He's posted a lot of really good things like this, but he's posted articles on different players, and this one has Rick Bowness, I believe he is the newer head coach of the Dallas Stars. I'm not hip on all the coaches' names, but I believe that he's sort of ruined the way John Klingberg plays since he's taken over. Now, if you look at this, and I know a lot of people don't like always when I go into advanced statistics, they kind of like the basic stuff. All I could say is that when you're in the blue, obviously that's going to be good. When you're in the red, that's not going to be good. So he's good at making passes, zone entries, for the most part, his zone exits. But as you can see, defensively, it's not exactly looking too good. He's in the red here. He's good with the takeaways and stuff like that, but it's just not the greatest in terms of his overall play. Defensively, he hasn't been too good. So it's a little bit of a, you're getting a more offensive-minded defenseman. But the reason why people could be like, okay, why would you want an offensive-minded defenseman? The Leafs already have too much offense, this, that, and the other. it's about upgrading anywhere that you possibly can when you're trying to win a Stanley Cup, or even in the Leafs case, just to win a damn round. The Leafs have been reluctant to just go all in. And I know people would look at last season and say, oh, well, they got Foligno, they got depth goaltending, they got depth defensemen. The Leafs don't really have a choice. And again, I will get into that towards the end of this video. I promise you that this is something that's going to be an ongoing discussion. They don't have a choice but to really go all in. Kyle Dubas doesn't have that choice because he could get fired. The core of this team doesn't really have a choice because somebody's probably going to get traded. Even if they do play well enough and win rounds, somebody still might get traded because of their cap situation. But they don't really have a choice but to go all in. And getting a guy like Klingberg and pairing him with a more defensive-minded defenseman could create a ripple effect in the Leafs blue line and allow this to be a better fit than people would think. Because if you still play Morgan Rielly with TJ Brody, which would probably be the case, you play Jake Muzzin with a guy like Klingberg, which would make sense. Muzzin's more defensive minded, and then you get a way better offensive upgrade over Justin Hall, so that way you can play those two guys together to offset the fact that Muzzin's good defensively, Klingberg's better offensively, and then your bottom pairing could be Rasmus Sandin and Timothy Liljegren, and I'll get into those guys in a minute. But again, going back to these numbers, you're getting what you get. Now, if you look at his numbers, he's putting up decent points again this year, even though it's been kind of a drop-off. He's been more offensively gifted than usual, in the past couple of years. But 36 points in 53 games played the previous season to start this year, 17 in 28. Now, if you look at the Leafs blue line, that would obviously put him second in points on this team. They don't have a lot of guys that put up big numbers, and I would imagine with the amount of star power that this Leafs team has, that these numbers would definitely go up, and you would probably see a more consistent John Klingberg when it comes to offense. Now, the reason I'm showing you this chart is this is from Money Puck. Now, there's a little bit more to these numbers. I think it has to do with like high danger scoring opportunities and, preventing those high danger scoring opportunities. But this is showing some of the more better shutdown pairings, lowest expected goals against per ice time played together. Sandin and Liljegren are on this list. They're producing more offense than they are than allowing more offense against them. So that's pretty, that's pretty good to see. You're seeing Liljegren getting time with Muzzin, you're seeing Liljegren play with Muzzin more, and it's going well. You're seeing Sandin and Liljegren play together, and it's going well. So that shows you that if you did have to move around Klingberg and Liljegren and Brody and all these guys, it would work. You can trust Liljegren in some of these in these bigger opportunities. You can trust Sandin. I mean, Sandin had 10 hits, I believe, against the Golden Knights. He's a lot more physical than people are giving him credit for. So I think that acquiring a guy like Klingberg, you feel safe because Sandin and Liljegren have taken steps, and I believe they will continue to take steps. Now, the next hurdle that you have to get over is the fact that Klingberg's cap hit is $4.25 million this year. Now, if the Leafs are able to trade a guy like Richie, if they're able to dump him off with a prospect or a pick or something like that, which is still entirely possible, you can save a bit of money there. And as we've discussed before, you could trade a guy like Justin Hall in this trade, so that way there's money in and money out, which would probably make sense. And then you also could trade a guy like Engvall, try to call up a cheaper cap hit like a Joey Anderson, or if you ever get a chance to have Nick Robertson in the lineup. There's a bunch of different ways that the Leafs can make this work. And again, I will explain it, and as we get closer to the NHL trade deadline, it's something that I will bring up even more. Cap hit, cap space you can accrue cap space going up to the NHL trade deadline. It was done last year. The Leafs did it by saving up money to acquire guys like Foligno and Riddick, and they also did that with double retention. So if you get a trade where Dallas can eat some of this money, or you can get a third team involved where they can eat some of the money, the Leafs could easily fit a guy like Klingberg in there, but there would have to be money in, money out, like I've discussed before. And the cap hit's not too bad, and like I said, it's only the 1 year left, so it would kind of make sense if the Leafs want a guy that could be a a rental option. Now, the reason why I'm bringing out the rental option, this is the Leafs next year, and this is all hypothetical, overpaying a little bit. The cap hit has been rumored to be 82.5, so it'd be $1 million increase next season. So after this year's playoffs. Now, let's just say that the Leafs traded Hall, Ritchie, and Mrazek, right? This is with 4 lines. This is with 6 defensemen. This is with 1 goalie, Campbell getting a $5 million increase. Now, again, I'm going to say this. I'm going to look right into the camera. I'm not saying these are the numbers that the Leafs are going to be giving out in terms of their contracts. I feel like I might have overpaid a couple players and maybe even underpaid a couple players. This is just numbers I'm throwing out there just to explain to you guys. Regardless of these numbers I'm throwing out, it's still going to be a tight cap hit. So please do not take these numbers to heart. Guys like Ondrej Kase, if you want to hold on to him, maybe it's 2.5, maybe it's less, maybe it's more. Who knows? Nick Robertson would have to come up because of money. You'd have to give Engvall another $925,000 contract, that, or you call up somebody cheaper. The offense would kind of stay the same. The blue line, Brody and Riley, Muzzin and Liljegren getting an increase in his money. Of course, he would need a contract. Rasmus Sandin getting an increase on his contract, and you would hold on to Dermott. Whether or not you feel comfortable with these defensemen, this could be the numbers that you're looking at. Campbell could definitely get more than $5 million. I know some people are thinking that's nuts, but I do think Campbell could end up getting more than $5 million. The guy's going to be in the running for the Vezina this year if he keeps playing the way he is. We're going to knock on wood. That would give the Leafs less than $1 million to get a backup goaltender. And that would be the cap space that they have. And this is me even thinking that they could be overpaying or underpaying some guys on here, maybe slightly overpaying a couple guys. But needless to say, the Leafs cap situation next season is going to be basically impossible to add to this team because that Riley contract kicks in. And this is why I keep explaining. Regardless of if the Leafs win rounds or even if, especially if they get bounced in the first round. And I hate to say this because he's my favorite player right now, but I can almost guarantee the Leafs will sell high on William Nylander. They're probably going to use that cap space to maneuver the money around, especially if it's a new GM. Because I don't think they'll pry Marner away from Matthews, which seems ridiculous. And I can't believe I'm even saying this. I don't want it to happen. I'm going to knock on wood because I think Nylander's fantastic and I don't want him traded. But they're going to be in a very sticky situation unless they have prospects come up and really take the reins from this team. But I'm not seeing anybody past Nick Robertson that can really do that. So I don't really know how they're going to make the money work, but that's why rentals for this upcoming deadline make the most sense, in my opinion. And Klingberg is probably a guy that the Leafs should be looking at because offensively he's very gifted, and he could be an upgrade definitely over Justin Hall because Hall hasn't been that great this year. He hasn't been good defensively, and if you're not going to have a guy good defensively, at least let him put up some points, and that's what Klingberg's doing. So let me know what you guys think. If you are new here, make sure to like this video and subscribe. Again, I'm not feeling too good, so sorry if the energy was kind of off. Thank you so much for watching, and hopefully I'll see you in the next video or stream. Peace.